includes much warmer temperatures, and we'll be back to tell you about that in just a second. Greg, Ross?
Sammy, I don't know about you, but I've had it.
Action News, Delaware Valley's leading news program, with Scott Palmer, Dave Roberts, Lisa Thomas-Laurie, and Mark Howard.
Good evening. In the news tonight, fire snuffs out 9 lives at a home for the mentally challenged in Australia.
And police stormed 300 demonstrators to end a 14-hour confrontation in Northern Ireland.
But the big story on Action News tonight is a spring snowstorm. It's making area residents say enough already. A thick, snowy rain fell all morning. Finally, this afternoon, it evolved into a winter-quality snow. And this is the picture, the live picture, I-95 over the Platte Bridge. It's looking north from the airport, and I tell you how traffic's moving, except you can barely see how traffic does seem to be moving fairly smoothly under all that thick fog, and it's very low visibility in the area. Tonight, many of us are feeling as beaten down as these daffodils from the latest round of the winter that won't go away. Even a family's Easter tree in Malvern labors tonight under the spring snowfall. A month ago, of course, it may have been easier to accept one more winter wonderland, but now folks are just wondering, when will it all end? Let's not waste any time answering that question. Let's go to Dave Roberts when we can expect to tell us the white stuff will be short-lived. Is that right, Dave?
Well, yes, early morning hours before this wet snow that's been continual all day will start to break down and move out of the area. Take a close look at action radar now, and you'll see the system right there. Now watch how it intensifies and spreads over the area. There you go, starting out several hours ago, intensifying and spreading. And when we break that down, a lot of moisture there, and you'll see that we've picked up mostly snow all day long. There's the breakdown, a considerable area of snow. Then to our south, down in southern Delaware there, you can see that mixture, and then the rain beneath that. So that's the radar, the current picture. For tonight, AccuWeather says the wet snow continues. The overnight low, 32 degrees. Looking for an end to this. I know we all are. Sometime between 1 and 4 a.m. in the morning, we expect it to kind of ease out of here. So we're going to get some totals out of this. So AccuWeather's call is, when it's all over, probably 2 to 4 inches on unpaved areas, those grassy areas, and the roads should remain just on the slushy side. What about going to work in the morning? Well, it'll be cloudy and windy. 32 degrees will be right about that freezing mark, so have to be careful. There could be a few slippery spots and still have the possibility of some flurries. But early morning hours, what we have right now, what we've had all day long, should be out of here. And that's good news. We'll continue to watch it on Action Radar and Satellite 6. We'll have the latest for you, so stay with us here on Action News. Mr. Mark.
Can't wait for the forecast for Friday, Dave.
Yes,
thanks.
Looks great.
And now let's go directly north to Nora Mushanek. She's live on Route 29 in Trenton. Nora, it's been snowing off and on there most of the day now. What's happening?
Well, it's been pretty miserable all day. It has been snowing all day, but things have changed in about the last hour. It seems like the flakes have gotten a lot fatter. It was a wet snow most of the day. It seems a little bit drier now, but it still is not sticking on the road. And so you can see that the roadway here is wet, but not snow-covered at all. Traffic is moving without any problem. The problem today is that we're dealing with snow at this time of year at all.
Hopefully it'll be over soon, and it'll be warm, 70 degrees come Friday, and I'll be glad. Melt it all away, and no more.
But until then, this is what's going on outside. As you can see in Titusville, New Jersey, all day long a wet snow has been falling, making it look more like January than April. But thankfully, it hasn't been accumulating. What do you think of this weather? It's snowing out.
I know. I hate it. I hate it. I've had enough of winter. Well, actually, I think it's great. I love the snow anyway, so.
Even at this time of year?
Even at this time of year. I can live with it all year long.
Where's your coat? It's snowing.
I'm hoping it'll stop soon.
In Yardley, Bucks County, it was the same story. Wet snow throughout the day, weighing down spring flowers and bushes and everyone's mood.
It's just been a long winter, and I think the people have anxiety about it being over, and it just adds to their anxiety about when is this going to finally be over.
Further north in New Hope, Main Street was deserted. The snow somehow looked perfect falling behind the tree ornaments at the Christmas shop, but it was bad news for business.
The weather just wipes us right out in New Hope. You know, people don't like to travel the streets back and forth between shops.
Well, we actually found some shoppers. Hey, I think you folks are the only two tourists in New Hope today.
We might be.
What do you think of this weather?
I don't like it. I'm waiting for summer.
How about you?
It's not sticking. I have no problems with it.
We should be having
flowers and everything else by now, and it's like, I think we've all had enough.
Back live now, and what's wrong with this picture? Well, the problem is when you see forsythia, you usually don't think of snowfall, but that's just what's happening in Trenton right now. We are back live on Route 29. The snow continues to fall. It's gotten bigger in the last hour or so, but traffic is moving without a problem. The roads are wet, but they really are okay at this point. I'm Nora Mushanek reporting live in the action cam from Trenton, New Jersey. Now back to you.
Thanks, Nora. More weather later. Now more news. Officials in Camden say it was an arson fire that
finally make their way farther east. Well, right now, looking at the nation, we see sunshine across the middle, of course, the storm that Bill is describing in the northeast, and we also have a little bit of a front coming in the west. Just a few showers with that one. A few rain showers making their way up through the Willamette Valley. Nothing very heavy at all. And that's the low pressure area associated with this low pressure area in Nevada, one up into southern Alberta. That eventually will make its way across the country, and later, as you'll see in our forecast, some showers and storms in the southern United States. As we check our forecast, let's head back and look at that. For your Wednesday, we see into the northeast some of the snow that will continue to fly. In fact, it's going to snow all day tomorrow, probably around Boston, especially in the interior. Jeff was mentioning 6 to 12 inches. Interior southern New England, that certainly looks like a very good possibility of that happening. Eventually, New York to Philly, your storm center will move away. The storm will move away, and your snow will start tapering off. Snow amounts, just a recap, of course, heaviest heading into southern New England. Temperatures, well, it's going to be another cold one across the southeast and into the Great Lakes to the northeast. We will see some warmer weather eventually make its way in as we see some of this heat finally spread eastward around Chicagoland in the 70s around your Thursday. 90s, the real...
Pull away very late tonight. We're still in that snow band through 2 a.m. in the morning. It will continue to snow. At the same time, temperatures begin to drop a little bit. So that means, yes, some accumulating snow. Now from the city, pointing south and east, 2 inches to as much as 4 inches. Very slushy and mainly on the grassy surfaces. Although as temperatures drop a little bit, some of the roadways will become a little bit slick in spots. A strip of 4 to 7 inches of snow north and west of the city, northeast Montgomery County, northern Bucks County, from Trenton points north and east towards New York City, 4 to 7 inches of snow right in there, and then 3 to 5 northern sections of the Lehigh Valley on up towards the Poconos, less than an inch, extreme southern Jersey, and down through points from Dover south, less than an inch of slushy snow, and that'll be later on tonight. Tomorrow morning, the storm system pulls away. Cold Arctic high last day.
We're going to try and get it out of here between 1 and 4 o'clock in the morning. That's the word from AccuWeather here on City Line Avenue. Take a look at traffic. It's moving fine. The roadway is wet. And no slushy accumulation here, but in some areas overnight may pick up some of that. Here is Action Radar, and again, we watch the movement of the system. There's it spreading out throughout the area earlier today, and then just kind of widens and intensifies and kind of slows down and hangs on. Let's see the mix within, and you can see we're still in the snow area, and there is a considerable area of snow. Still just that line of that mixture down to our south, down in southern Delaware, and then more rain just to the south of that. So we're into it. Tuesday, the 9th day of April, and we're getting this kind of weather. Present temperature reading 34 degrees. The humidity at 97%. The barometer 2978. It is falling. Winds are out of the northeast at 15 miles an hour, and the wind chill, if you've been out at all today, you know it's not pleasant. The wind chill for the 5 o'clock hour is 14 degrees. Keep in mind that the normal high this time of year should be 60 degrees. Yesterday we hit 48. Today we struggled to hit 40. So all in all, not a very pleasant night. It's going to be a while before it's out of here. So the call from AccuWeather is this wet snow, the combination that we've had all day long, just continues. And possibility of getting 2 to 4 inches on unpaved areas as it continues through tonight and into the early morning hours. The overnight low at that freezing mark of 32 degrees. So again, have to be careful when we hit that mark that some of the roads that are wet now may ice up in some spots. For tomorrow, Wednesday, windy and chilly. Winds out of the northwest 15 to 35 miles per hour. They're kicking up pretty good right now. Some sun, a high of 46 degrees, and we still have the possibility maybe some flurry activity, but not the constant wet snow that we've had all day today. Then Thursday, a high of 58 degrees. It's hard to believe, but on Friday, AccuWeather is calling for a high of 74 degrees. So we go from a wind chill right now of 14 degrees to an actual high of 74 degrees, a spring warning for Friday. I think I like it. Mark and Lisa?
We love it. If it happens, let's hope it does. All right, much more still to come on the early edition of Action News. Police in Delaware practice.
Action News continues with Scott Palmer, Dave Roberts, Lisa Thomas-Laurie, and Mark Howard.
Hello again. Here are some of the big stories we're following for you tonight on Action News. Police search for an arsonist after a deadly blaze that took 2 lives in Camden. Ron Brown's closed coffin comes home to the Commerce Department, which he ran for the last 3 years. And the flakes fall fast and furious, but how much of it will stick around? We'll get the very latest from AccuWeather.
And now the details. Fire investigators in...
Scope with an update on the latest storm affecting the Northeast.
Hey, good afternoon. You're watching the Weather Channel. Bill Keneally with you, and we are watching the system of low pressure unfolding. It looks like it's going to be a real lollapalooza up in southern New England tonight. Into the daytime on Wednesday, translating, Hartford, Connecticut may see as much as 6 to 10 inches of snow. Suburban areas in Boston, out by 128 and 495, could see as much as 10 to maybe 12 inches by this time tomorrow afternoon. Let's show you the picture shot earlier today in the Baltimore area, north of town, actually up in York, PA. And Jim Cantori made these snowmen for us, so we thank Jim for that. We had snow falling locally, about 3 to 4 inches fell in York. Up on Interstate 83, travel was not really curtailed. There were some problems. This guy spun out in one of the secondary roads in the area. But again, tonight, please drive carefully. The saving grace today has been the daylight hours. We have had some pretty nice April solar radiation coming through, even though it's been a cloudy day. And by the way, the sun angle today is comparable to that on September 1st. That ought to tell you something about what we're capable of doing if all things had worked out, but that's not the case. Okay, big upper low back over western PA. Surface low starting to take shape right around southeastern Virginia. Pressures are now falling pretty rapidly up on the Jersey Shore all the way up to about the Cape Cod area. And this low is going to take over, I think, and eventually start chugging its way up to the northeast and be just a beam of Cape Cod tomorrow at this time. Yesterday we thought it might track more like in this fashion, but now it's coming closer to the coast. So there's going to be more moisture coming into southern New England and extreme southeastern New York overnight tonight. This area is primed to get dumped on, and dumped on good. Here's our low starting to organize. Still some mixed rain and snow down into Baltimore and Washington. Temperatures here running about 38, 39 degrees. Snows are falling. The visibility greatly curtailed now from New York City down to Philadelphia. Visibility in this zone about a half a mile in a lot of cases. So even though it's not a major problem on the roadways, watch out for the snow starting to cut down the visibility and eventually starting to build up on the trees and power lines. That could be our big problem later on tonight, some of the power outages expected. And if that low really gets cranking, the east wind is going to start really howling. Right now we have some northeast wind, but it's nothing that strong for the time being. Now you can see there's a big lobe of weaker system, snow showers, if you will, out here across western PA and down into West Virginia. This is the upper level low. The surface low, as mentioned, forming now down in this fashion, starting to fling that moisture on back into Long Island and New York City. And thankfully today, the sun sets about 7:30, by the way, in Boston, New York, and Philadelphia. We have not had that much accumulation on the highway, some slush, I'm sure, and the heavier snow, as you can see, roughly from the GW Bridge all the way to the Delaware Bridge there on the Jersey Turnpike. Long Island, some pretty heavy snow, especially out in Suffolk County. And now snow's moving up now. It looks like the snow is coming up near Plymouth, Mass, and getting over to about Attleboro and near the Providence Airport, getting over to Danbury now. Then it kind of cuts off in northwest Jersey. That's interesting. Got a call from Nick in Wantage Township. They've had 108 inches up there, a couple more inches, and New Jersey has the all-time snowfall record for the entire state. That would be quite a feat, wouldn't it? Especially setting it in April. But again, the snows are moving on up. There's a mix down on the Jersey Shore and down around Dover and Salisbury. But elsewhere, pretty much all snow, and some of that snow pretty heavy at this hour. So please use caution headed home, especially there in the LIE. That's going to be some very low visibility because of the rate of snow that is now falling over the area. Snow is going to be heaviest north of New York and up in western New England. The Berkshires back to Worcester is getting a really clocked, I think. Somebody's going to see a foot. By the Weather Channel's Jeff Morrow will be reporting back to us at the top of the hour. They got the ball game in today. Boston 38 at Fenway Park now. Sky cover is cloudy, 35 and 34 respectively, and snowing heavily in New York and Philadelphia. And things here will be getting a whole lot better. Believe me, a whole lot better Thursday and especially on Friday. Take in the cherry blossoms, for instance, in D.C., the weather looks good. Now for the forecast and more radar, here's Rich.
Okay, thank you, Bill. First of all, let's start in the southeast. It's not snow, but thunderstorms with heavy rain that are causing problems. The storm generated normal conditions. Again, 37 at Cincinnati, 39 Detroit, 35 at New York City. So it is a cold day today. Here's our bowling ball associated with that low, so to speak, that round-shaped cloud cover. We do see clear skies across the plains, and our next front starting to come into the west. That front with a low pressure area. Right now, one of the centers is across Nevada. The other one is farther to the north in southern Alberta. It's this warm front that's going to push across the country that's going to bring much milder conditions. And speaking of mild conditions, we will see areas like Chicago warm up into the 70s, and to the northeast into the 60s, and eventually some areas, some of you will see the 70s. Well, latest radar out of Florida still showing some rain around Miami to Key West about the past 8 or 9 hours, at least a half inch of rain. It appears now that most of the rain is over with as this is slowly heading toward the Bahamas, although around Key West we still need to deal with some. Let's look at the forecast for you. We'll start out with tomorrow morning. Still snow.
Tomorrow morning, those row houses on the left will appear in the picture. You can see the high-rise all right, but the snow still blows. Dave has better news to report. We'll be right back.
Dave Roberts, it wasn't really that it was any major problem getting around on the roadways. It just didn't look nice today. It still doesn't.
I'm glad you two are speaking to me. We're almost out of it.
All right.
We are almost out of it. Just hang on. I know it's been a long winter for everybody, but it's going to get better. Let's go live on the action cam right now. This is not better. We're at Route 29 in Trenton where the snow, those large wet flakes just continue to fall. But note the pavement remain just wet. There's no slushy accumulation as of yet. So watch the live picture. Let's show you the numbers. Today's high 40 degrees at 2:47. That came this morning. 34 was the low at 3:55 this afternoon. It's also our present temperature. Any winds out of the northeast 15 miles an hour. We have a wind chill of 14 degrees tonight. Well, the wet snow continues. Possible accumulation 2 to 4 inches on unpaved areas, those grassy areas, especially outside of city areas. The overnight low 32 degrees, and we could have some slushy roads. Obviously, a little trouble with our picture there. The weather causing problems for everyone, including the action cam. On Wednesday, the call from AccuWeather is windy and chilly with a high of 46 degrees and maybe some sun, but the winds will be northwesterly 15 to 35 miles per hour. Well, the weather pattern that's delivering this snow is a tricky one that gives or takes a couple of degrees, and if you do that, we could have given rain, either had rain or a good snow cover on the ground. Let's go to the AccuFacts file to kind of explain it for you. You see the flakes that are forming in the upper levels of the atmosphere, where temperatures right now are just as cold as they were in January. However, most of the snow is melting in contact with the ground. That's because it's not cold enough down here to keep the flakes frozen. In fact, if it were a little warmer, just a few degrees even, we wouldn't be looking at snow. Instead, it would just be a typical April rain. On the other hand, if it were a little colder close to the surface, then we would see the snow stick and accumulate, so just a few degrees either way makes a big difference. When we come back at 6 o'clock, we'll take a look at the 5-day forecast, and you will see warm numbers that are going to warm your hearts. Here.
We still love Check this out here. I think you can see for yourself. See if you can pick out where the low pressure center is. Yeah, there it is. It's right about through here, off the Maryland coast. Of course, Maryland right here, Delaware to the north. That's the center of low, but also we have a rope cloud here. What's a rope cloud? Well, as we look at our satellite picture, it's a cloud that looks like a rope. Nothing too fantastic about that, but see if you can see that right there. What's important about that? That's where the cold front is. So the cold front is off the coast, and we have all this moisture ahead of it wrapping in and around. So that is where we're seeing the snow coming down.